I don't know if you've been keeping up with things, but this past week, 17 members of Congress got arrested for going beyond their peaceful protest of the Supreme Court's returning the sanctity of life issue back to the states. So they decided to make utter spectacles of themselves by blocking traffic, and after 3 warnings, they were arrested. Now, of course, the biggest spectacle in Congress was there to be arrested, and in the spirit of authenticity, pretended to be handcuffed by walking with her hands behind her back. I'm referring, of course, to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who for reasons beyond explanation was wearing a heavy wool coat in 100-degree DC heat. That alone ought to be enough to confirm that she ain't right, okay? Who wears a coat when it's 100 degrees? So there she struts, not so much proud that she blocked traffic and made a fool of herself, play acting being handcuffed, but that once again, she found a way to get on TV. In fact, my crack researchers at the Huckabee School of You Better Believe I'm Right have discovered that the most dangerous actions in America are hang gliding off a 1,000-foot cliff with an umbrella from Dollar General, telling a Southerner that you hate Elvis, Jesus, Leonard Skinner, and sweet tea, and getting between AOC and a TV camera. Those are dangerous things, and all will likely result in death. Camera-addicted AOC only pretended to have handcuffs. Too bad they didn't give her some real ones to wear. But you know who did get put in real handcuffs? Peter Navarro, former trade director at the Trump White House. Not only did he get put in handcuffs and frog marched across the federal courthouse lawn, he was put in jail, strip searched, and put in leg irons. And he didn't even block traffic. Now, what he's accused of is a misdemeanor charge of contempt of Congress because he refused to become a stage prop in Nancy Pelosi's little drama called the January 6th Committee, run in part by Nancy's hand-picked and pet Republican dolt, Liz Cheney. And you know, Liz needs to get all the attention she can because it's really likely that Wyoming voters have had enough of her petulant political pouting and will retire her from Congress this year. Peter Navarro, who in fact was arrested at the door of the airplane that he was boarding on his way to Nashville to be a guest on this show, he wasn't protesting to be seen and heard. He rightly believes that Congress overstepped its authority by trying to force members of the president's staff to reveal conversations that have always been considered protected under executive privilege. And as for the charge of contempt of Congress, wow, I guess I'm subject to arrest for that because with Pelosi in charge, I confess, I got a whole lot of contempt for a Congress who has destroyed the basic tenets of American constitutional jurisprudence by conducting a TV show that they call a hearing, despite not allowing any questions or viewpoints that aren't carefully scripted and placed on their little teleprompter. They shred the Constitution by conducting this little sham of a show trial by allowing wild hearsay and breathlessly gasping at nutty allegations, one of which include a story that President Trump grabbed the steering wheel from the back seat of the vehicle in which he was riding, despite the fact that the Secret Service, you know, the people who were actually in the vehicle, they said it never happened. So while AOC, anti-Semitic congressional kook llhan Omar, and other members of the Keystone Congress clown car pretended to be shackled, there was a 69-year-old cancer patient grandmother who was ordered placed in prison for the crime of, wait for it, parading in the Capitol on January 6th of 2021.
Yes, we have arrived at the Dublin Federal Prison for Women. We're here with Pam Hemphill, Mom, how do you feel? You're here.
Scared to death. I'm frightened, but I know God's with me. I just got to take it 5 minutes at a time, one day at a time.
She didn't engage in any violence. She didn't strike or disrespect a police officer. She didn't break into a congressional office. She was just there. And the judge sent her to time in prison. Meanwhile, the staff of Stephen Colbert's very unfunny The Hate Show, or I think they call it The Late Show, but they should call it The Hate Show. They really did wander around inside Capitol office buildings despite repeatedly being told to leave. And they were hit with not so much as a $10 fine. Totally let off the hook. You know, if it weren't for the double standards of justice at Joe Biden and Merrick Garland's Department of Justice, there wouldn't be any standards at all. But Americans can only take so much of the corruption, abuse of power, and political strong-arming of citizens using our own tax money to do it to us. And the day of reckoning needs to start in November of this year.